Okay, so one of the calipers is now painted. I've just got to let the last little coat dry, which yeah, I should say about 15-20 minutes. Hopefully that's enough time for the clear coat to then get here. I ran out of paint, so what I might try and do on the other side, when I can afford to go and get some paint for that side, is I might try different paint, because the thing is the sprays. It's all right, but it doesn't cover that great. And I think really what I should have done is I probably should have primed it first. But here's the thing: it's like it's one of these things where I asked the guys who should know, who sell this stuff and working at departments at Halfords, like that basically, do I need primer for this stuff, and they were like, no, just clean them up and put it on, and it'll be fine. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I've bought a can thinking, okay, wouldn't need that much of it. However, what I found is I've used the whole can on one caliper, so basically I've had to put a few coats on it. Then with the issues with the weather and all that, it hasn't been particularly warm. It's probably one of these jobs that if you've got a warm space, like if you have a garage that you can warm up and you can kind of get it to a temperature that actually this stuff will dry out pretty good, and it might even cover a little bit better, fine. I don't think that, in all seriousness, the unprimed look actually really does it any justice. So I think the other side, I think what I might do is I might have to get some primer, prime that one, see how it looks. If it comes out better to prime it and then paint it, I think kind of like what I'll do on the other one, even though it's taken me like 2 days to get it done. One, the weather hasn't been kind of like on my side at this point, but also I didn't quite know kind of like how long it would take to prep it and clean it up and all that kind of stuff. So really, it's been a bit of a learning curve for me, and it's kind of like how long this stuff takes, what's the right way and wrong way of doing it. But the advice of not using a primer, I should have probably known better to actually use the primer, because it kind of gives it a better surface for the paint to adhere on. But yeah, you don't have to use a primer. I think it probably would have given a little bit of a better finish. So I don't know. I mean, I'm 2 minds thinking, like, if I get the paint on stuff, if I can get that in the same color as what the spray on stuff was and paint that, brush it on, it might actually give me a better coverage. It might actually cover differently. It might actually respond differently, which is half the time is. Of all these things, between spraying and the paint on stuff, like generally, if you bought a tin and you wanted to spray it, you'd have to thin it down, and if you then buy it in a can, it's already been thinned down in order for that to be able to be sprayable. But they do cover differently, and I think it just depends. If I took the caliper off completely, pinched the brake line, took the caliper off, and all that kind of stuff, then yeah, fine. But I didn't want to have to go through all the bleeding the brakes and all that kind of scenario. So I've done it kind of like where I've taken the caliper off the disc. I haven't just like covered the disc and I've done it that way. I've taken the caliper off the disc, and basically and kind of done it so I can get all the way around it. Trouble is it's outside, it's wet, it can stick to things, and it did, and I was like, oh, for goodness sake. So then I've had to then go and like recoat it, and hopefully that recoat will be fine. When the clear coat gets here, I can then just coat the other part. I mean, this is like kind of the finish. It still feels really, I mean, it looks all right. I think I'm not too fussed about this part. This part you're not going to see. This is going to go on the back. So when the caliper is going to sit on the disc on the car, obviously these are the bits that you're going to see. Okay, so you're not going to see this bit. It's going to sit like, it's hard to show you on the camera. It's going to sit kind of like that against the disc. So you're going to see the outside edge like that, and that's obviously is where the caliper, the pads slide, and then you also have like the other part of the plate that sits on there. So yeah, that's where that's kind of how that sits. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I think once I put clear coat on it, it might just protect it a little bit more. It should give it, because it feels like a coat like that. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's me. I don't know, maybe it is. Maybe it's not. But I don't trust it. I don't trust it because it just feels like something that I just easily just shred, and I just feel like, well, okay, well, maybe one, I probably should have primed it first. Two, at least if I get a decent enough coat on it, I then put some clear coat on it. That will help protect it, protect the paint and everything else from, like, if I'm using pressure washer or anything else like that on it, it just didn't take the paint off. And hopefully after it's been used, the heat from the brakes should then bake on the paint a little bit more. I don't know. That's my theory. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I don't. That's about as clear as it can be. So now I've run out of paint. I can't afford to go and get any more paint. So I can't do the other caliper. So it's just going to be a wait in progress. So I'm going to have one painted, one unpainted. But also, I think with when I can afford to get the paint, I think I'll get the black paint for the back wheels, because the back drum brakes. So basically, I was going to do them blue, but it's drum brakes. It's going to be a lot of blue. It's going to be a lot. It's going to stand out a little bit more than I would probably want it to. I think because of the size of them, I think I'd rather have them blacked out. Then it blends in with the wheel. So when I do get the wheels refurbed, they're going to be just basically all the scuffs and everything else is going to be like taken out, all the curbing and everything else is going to be taken out of them. They're not damaged in a huge way, but I just want them to be nice. And if I'm going to do if I'm going to do that with the car, if I'm doing everything I'm doing with it, then I want it to be perfect in that respect. Also, I backed into something, and I know I've busted the tail light. Unfortunately, the damage was absolutely minor to the bumper, but I cracked the tail light, and that's like another 50 odd quid. Now, if I went to the main dealer, they want like £104 or something like that. So then I don't know if that was including VAT or excluding VAT. Probably excluding VAT. That's just the price of the light. So I don't really want to pay that. And while I'm kind of in between doing work and at the moment, I don't really want to have to kind of worry about that too much. It's a bust tail light. It's an inconvenience, but the tail light still works. It all works. It hasn't been that busted. It's just the outer casing on it that's been cracked and a little bit on the bottom. Just doesn't look that great. And fortunately to replace it, yeah, it's only 50 quid. Now that to some people isn't a lot of money, and yeah, totally, I absolutely agree with that. But when you haven't got it, it's flipping a huge amount of money. So I am now sort of looking at a prospect of what that's going to be like, and how long it's going to take me to get that, and how long it's going to take me to get back to work. Also, I ordered all the bits for the pump and everything else. So then while the car's up on its axle stands, even if I get this side back together, and get the wheels on and everything else, I'm still going to leave it on the stand. So I think I'll put one wheel back on, I'll leave the other wheels off still. So when the parts turn up, and they should turn up kind of somewhere next weekend, so today is Saturday, I ordered them on Friday, so that is basically in the process of being shipped out. So basically, yeah, That's going to be shipped out probably next week. Then it's going to take sort of 2-3 days from that point to get to me. So maybe we're talking maybe Tuesday it'll be shipped. So that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So possibly end of next week, those parts will turn up. So the car's out of action for another week. Which makes it a little bit difficult to go anywhere and earn anything, because it's my mode of transport. I could still use it if I just topped up the coolant with water, but I couldn't do that forever because I don't want to damage the engine, because it's supposed to have coolant in it, not water, which means that actually I'm going to have to then drain all the water out of it. To then do the pump, and then replace the pump with all its new gaskets and everything else like that, which then should hopefully cure the whole leak of that. And then there's other things I want to do. Looking at the hoses and everything else, it says basically replace your hoses in around kind of like about 4 years. The car's about 4 years old, and basically I'm kind of looking at like maybe some silicone hoses, blue silicone hoses, which will make the engine look a little bit smarter, tidy it up a little bit more, and just make it look less stock. Which is nothing wrong with the stock, in a way, but just if I'm going to go out of all my way of doing these things, then that's going to be an interesting kind of like a look to the car. So I think the power gain that I'm trying to get out of the car isn't going to be huge. I don't think it would be huge anyway. It'd probably be quite a jump from where it is now to where it should end up, but it's not a supercar, it's a Corsa. But then if you're going to do the engine, so basically I had some cams made, because you can't buy any fast road cams for this model. Like I tried to get some, couldn't get any anywhere. So then basically I bought like some cams off eBay. For the Corsa, I took it down to Newman Cams in Kent. So big shout out to them. You'll find their names pop up quite a few places. So I took it to someone that I thought I had a trusted name. So I went to Kent, and I took them down and I asked them to do the work on them, to re-engineer them, to basically make them into fast road cams that would fit in my car. So that's what they've done. They're now ready to pick up. The cost of that for me to go and pick them up and pay for them, that's £290. Now, if I was going to get them to deliver, that'd be about maybe £330, £340, somewhere around that point. But I think, do you know what better way of sort of going and just pick them up? Also, like when I fix the car, for the problems that it does have, I can then kind of like test it out and just see how it runs on the long run, and that'd be nice. Obviously, I need to earn some money for the fuel and everything else like that. So, it's January. We're talking February. Middle of Jan, I was just promised some work, but this is what you do when you're kind of in and out of doing stuff. Which the position that I'm in at the moment, in all reality of it, is it gives me cause to kind of think about, what do I want to do, and I kind of enjoy doing the stuff I'm doing on the car. Like it's something that I could see myself doing like a little bit more on a full-time basis. It's not just your run-of-the-mill kind of thing that I can do anywhere. It's an enjoyment. It's using my practical skills, and I really have to kind of thank like you YouTubers and everything else like that, that have really helped me along, kind of like do this. The guy Michael out of the other stuff, go and check out his channel. He was first guy I sort of looked at. I had a Corsa and it was doing sort of bits to it, and I thought, I sat down and I thought, can I do that? Do you know what? Why not? Let's do it. Might be fun. I might enjoy it. And the thing is I've got all the stock parts. The only thing that I couldn't change back unless I want to change the whole bonnet is obviously the bonnet vents. Like, so I'd have to literally just buy a new bonnet if I wanted to go back to stock. But I've still got the suspension, the stock shocks, the rear springs, all of that stuff. I've still got all of that, and it's fine. But I can go back. Like the I haven't got, obviously I wouldn't necessarily worry about the brake discs or the pads as they're upgraded anyway. I haven't done anything with the back drum, so that's fine. I don't think that would make an issue. If anything, that would just be like a little bit more of a bonus on the selling point. And I haven't done anything on the body kit yet. But even if I put a body kit on it, put a spoiler, rear diffuser, front lip, I think that'll only add to the character. Obviously, side skirts as well. I think that'll add to the character. I want to kind of go carbon on those, which will add to the kind of black and the blue, and it's quite nice. A little bit disappointed. I tried to kind of repair a little bit of the damage on the front wing, front passenger side wing. Just had a little bit of a dent, and I tried to repair it. I don't think I made it any better. I think I'd have to take that to the body shop and say, look, can you do that? What's the cost of doing the wing? It's not a big piece. What do I need to do to kind of keep the costs down in regards of prep it for you? If I can prep it for you, fine, and then I can get the paint, and then you guys can like just do that for me, so it all works well. Will that have to mean that there'll have to be more work for them to be able to match that into the rest of the car? I don't know. That's a conversation to have kind of a little bit down at that time. I haven't done anything with the interior yet. All this is going to take a long time to kind of do, but I've got to have a conversation, build up the cost, the price list. So basically, like, behind me, so just gonna, that is my price list so far. Brakes 177, coilovers 229. The cams I paid £198 for, and then there's £290 to pay on top of that for them to be reground, which has been done. I've just got to pay and pick up. Exhaust was £457.96 in the end. The remap is going to cost me £350 to tie in all those mods for the engine and stuff. And then obviously the body kit is coming in at £608. So I don't know if that's a good price or not, but I'd love to say it is. I think ProBite for what they did for the brakes and that for me, and how they were with me, I think was absolutely fantastic. I think the Pro Sport suspension, I'm driving it about, it handles well, it's nice, it's a nice ride height. Yes, it definitely is a little bit stiffer, but it has softened up a little bit since I've driven the car. I think the guys who sorted me out for the alignment looked after me. Couldn't do much more for I think I paid £60 for the alignment. Fantastic, beautiful. The kind of other bits and pieces that I've got, like, it's just for show. I've got RGB fog lights, which was great. Don't, guys, listen to me. Like, driving around in the UK, if you've got your fog lights on and you've changed them or you've done something nice with them, and like maybe you've got some RGB ones that I've got and all that kind of stuff, don't have them on like this. It's foggy or completely peeing down the rain or whatever, or their vision's impaired in some way. That I got pulled up. They couldn't do me for the fact that they were purple, but the fact that they were on and I was showing off, and I shouldn't have been. It was an expensive mistake. So they were reasonable with me, but I learned, okay, fine, just tone it down a bit, get a bit carried away, get a bit excited, and I got stung for it. So yeah, but I have also seen like some xenon headlights of another Corsair E, and I just thought they looked sick. I don't know why. It's like anything that's bright, flashy, colourful. I'm like, oh, hello, shiny. So I am kind of like, it would look good. It would look good on the car. I'm pretty sure that, I think it would look something quite different. And I think with doing everything else, I think those little touches would be great. I have got some underglow. I have been, making all the looms and all that for it to go in. So what I'm hopefully going to do is another point is buy some bits. Don't think I'm going to need. Yet again, it's money I don't have at the moment, so I'm going to have to wait until I've kind of got there, which I will get there. That's without question. It's just a question of how. Or not how, but a question of when. So basically, once I've kind of got all those bits, I'm going to put a fuse box, like an auxiliary fuse box in, which is going to run straight off the battery. Then all my lighting and everything else like that. So the underglow, the lights on the inside, the dash cam and everything else, which basically runs off the 12-volt system on the inside of the car. I'm going to hardwire all that in to the auxiliary fuse box. So, but I'm not just going to put it straight to the fuse box. I've got some switches which I've all kind of got ready to install those switches, so I can turn them on when I want them on, turn them off when I want them off. So they're not only are they remote controlled, but they'll also have like a hardwired switch in there as well. So you don't have to drain the battery, and you can probably argue it's not going to drain the battery completely, as there's only a small amount of power to be used. But it'll be. I just think it'll be a good setup to just be able to have that extra bit of control. And then I'm going to install them into the center console, and then run it from the center console to the auxiliary fuse box, and then run like the underglow, which got coming from underneath. Somehow I think I might need to get some more connectors, because I think I'm going to get it to the point where I want to be able to get it. I don't want to just have to like. It's two ways to go about this. With the underglow, what I can do is it's got a controller and a remote control receiver. So what I'm thinking of doing is that can either go outside in the engine bay, and then the main power cable for that will go from the fuse box. It'll go through a point into the car, through the firewall, and then that'll go into the connector, and then somehow I've got to try and make sure that's waterproof. I can probably get some kind of box or something, waterproof box or something to put in there, or I could probably just kind of wrap it and then choose what color I want for the underglow, which that would basically be stored, and then just be able to turn it on and off from inside the car. So then that's something I could do. Or if I want a little bit more kind of control from the inside of the car, it means I'd probably have to cut all the wires, which means I'd have to get all the different at least 4 different color coded zip ties or something to know that those wires go together. Do you know what I mean? Like the insulation tapes and all that kind of stuff, and just basically know that I'm joining the right wires together. So when I cut them, strip them, rejoin them, it means that then I can put the box inside the car, because the box is not going to go through the firewall, guys. It's, it's just not going to happen. So you'd have to cut the wires, and you'd have to put together and then feed that through the firewall, if they'd reach. I might even have to extend them yet, which I've got wire and everything else to extend them. That doesn't really necessarily matter so much on kind of what colour wire you use. It's just the gauge that you can use then to kind of put them together, extend it, rejoin them, make sure you've got the kind of looming tape and everything else like that for them, and then just get them where they need to go. So basically, I'm not going to run the lights from the back. I do know you can run the lights from the back. You can have front and back. However, I just feel like, because the UK is really funny about all this kind of stuff. I mean, we're talking like exponentially funny. We're not talking. We're not talking like, oh yeah, it's okay across the board. No one's gonna do you for this, that, and everything else. If the police want to be funny, they will, and that's just as simple as that. Some will like it, some won't. Some will leave you alone, and others will just want to pull you through everything that you can get pulled for. It's just the way it is. And if they don't agree with something that you're doing, they have the right to stop you and everything else like that. If they want to write you a ticket for something, I'm pretty sure they've got some kind of loophole they can write you a ticket for. Simple as that. So I'm kind of like, from having them on when you're driving, if you're not at a show or anything, probably won't have them on so much. But this is the whole point, is that when you have them inside the car, I'm going to switch them on. If like I'm thinking like, hang on, could get into trouble here, I could just quickly switch them off. Gives you that control. It's at the switch of, literally at the switch of a button. You're going to ting ting, and you just got to be aware of who's around you, what's around you, and all that. I don't think I'm going to run them from the front and the back. I could put a bar across the back. I could get a piece of aluminium or something, fix that to underneath the where the back bumper is underneath. I wouldn't attach it to the bumper or the diffuser. I literally have to put a separate bar on there and then attach it to the bar, as long as that isn't going to be seen. So if you do underglow, as long as you can't see the actual physical light and it's just the glow underneath, then that's fine, from a legal point of view. But that means you just got to be careful about where you put them, how you hide them up. Also, as well, the kind of lights and everything else you use is important, just from an installation point of view. But all that's fun. To me, it's fun. I don't mind doing all that. It's the first time I kind of made wiring looms and everything else like that, and mess about like this. And I know how to use a soldering iron. I know how to use how to apply solder, how to put things together, and all that kind of stuff. I found it really cheap to buy the wiring looms. Or the looming tape. So it was it's better to buy 4 rolls than it was 1. So that's what I did. So I've got plenty of that. But yeah, it's coming along. It's come along. It's taken a little bit longer because obviously the financial scenario, but it will get there. And I'm looking forward to kind of when I see the end in my head. So it's like anybody. It's like you have an image in your mind and you think, oh, that look well sick. If I can do that, and you see other things from other people and you think, oh, that'll be well cool. No, I like that. That's better. And I just sort of feel, well, from the outside, most of it's pretty standard. What like the body kits and everything else that you get, pretty standard. I'm going to kind of go with that. It will look better. But the interior, I like some of the interiors that I've seen. I've had people say, "Why are you going to do it? It's a course. It's not worth spending the money on it. It's not worth you're putting the you're putting the cart before the horse and all that kind of stuff." And I'm like, okay, great, fine. I appreciate your honesty and I appreciate your point of view, but in all due respect, it's my stuff. If I want to do it, I'm going to do it. It's like so. For instance, like in some respects, if you look at somebody like Matt Armstrong or any of those guys who would basically be like, I bet they are people that say, why are you going to go and do BMXing? Why are you going to go hurtling down a flipping ramp on a BMX bike where you've got a chance of like breaking your neck, bones, everything else like that? You know, you could really hurt yourself. Why are you going to do it? You know, and you still do it because at the end of the day, it's what is applicable to you as a person. Is that what you find you get enjoyment of? Great. Yes, you know the risks, and if you do hurt yourself, then you've got to then kind of apply your talents into some kind of other area. I'm kind of glad that he sort of did with the cars that he does, because the depth that he goes into, it really helps it kind of build up of like the processes. They're pretty much the same. It's the same processes. It doesn't matter if it's a flipping Bugatti or if it's a Corsa. It's the same processes involved in how you go about repairing it, how you go about the stripping down and putting it back together. You know, all of that kind of stuff. Yes, you know, if you've got a garage at your disposal and you've got the equipment, great. But I don't. I'm on you know, I've parked my car outside the house I'm living in on a driveway, which is where I'm doing the work. I can't afford garage rates. I've got to fix it. Simple as that. What my garage would want to charge me to what actually parts would cost. Actually, I found I can get parts quite cheap. Everybody wants to add out other taxes and everything else, in fact, so it's just ridiculous. So I'm just like, no, I can't afford that. I have to do the work myself. So I've fortunately sort of built up some of the tools. I've had to go and kind of get some other bits and pieces, spend a little bit of money there where I can, but do you know what, it's going to help. It's all going to achieve, one, maintaining the car, being able to do servicing on it, changing the oil and all that kind of stuff, making sure everything all works right, and that, and two, it's going to save me some money that costs, but also, should I then sell this car, if I want to get something that is not too bad condition, and feel like actually I want to kind of do a bit more to it, then I know I can. At the moment, I'm looking to, you know, retrain as a mechanic to go into mechanics a little bit more, to go into a little bit more in depth, to understand some of the the kind of like theoretical matters and everything else, and mathematics and all that kind of stuff to go with it. Why did I just say mathematics? I can't believe I said that. That's not my strongest point. I think it's going to be hard, but if I want to get out of the hole that I'm in at the moment, where I have no money, I literally live hand to mouth, then the only way I can do that is to go and retrain, go and do something that I think I could do for fun and make a living out of, and prove to other people that I'm willing to invest in myself and put the work in. Then, you know, that's for me is a good way forward. And I think, yeah, you know, as a trade, I think I'd be pretty good at doing it full time. So that's what I want to do, and hopefully in the kind of time to come, I'm going to be able to kind of show you guys, whoever watches my videos, and whoever kind of watches the processes, is like, look, this is what is possible. It is achievable. You can do it. You know, from a guy who's come off the streets, battled with drug addiction and all that kind of stuff, and you know, it really messed up his life. I think to get to this point, I think it's nothing short of a miracle in itself. And you know, I think I've just got to be grateful for where I'm at now, and look forward with kind of expectation of there is more to come. there's more good things to come, and keep going in that, regardless of like any of the hardships or anything else that might sort of come. It just, the fact of being able to get through that, pass it by, and look back and go, well, yeah, do you know, in all the stuff that we've achieved, the journey, I've done well. I personally have done well, and I think anybody who's come through those kind of challenges, well done, well done for getting yourself right and getting yourself to a place where you can look back and say, yeah, it's been hard, it's been brutal. Some of the mistakes that we've made in life, nothing will ever really make up for that. But on the plus side as well, you can learn from it and move forward, and go forward in a positive way. And I can honestly say I've learned a lot about the world, and about myself, and what can be achieved, and what probably is a bit unrealistic, but life's full of surprises, and I keep going to the expectation of being surprised in a good way. It's not all bad surprises, it's not all negative stuff. There's a lot of good, and I think if you concentrate on the positive side of things, it'll help you kind of going forward in the future. So yeah, that's kind of me. It's kind of like an introduction to who I am, and also what I want to achieve. And if somewhere down the future, what I would really like to do is I'd like to turn my skills into, and to use that to be able to give back some of what I've had invested in me through other people have invested in me. Those that have helped me along the way. Have been fantastic. That's a real good support, and to be able to like sort of show how that support has helped, in a way that things have come out of it to a place where I can kind of be in a situation where I can take people that maybe have been at a bit of disadvantage. They've come out of addiction cycles. They've come out of prison. They need some kind of something to keep them grounded, and to be able to do what I love to do, and to do that, do it well, and give them that opportunity that I've had, because I know how important that is. I just know how valuable that is, and I don't think you should write anybody off too quickly. You should be able to at least give people a chance who are willing to. I mean, that's the thing. You've got to be willing to turn your life around and put the effort in, and work for it. It's not going to be handed to you on a plate, but it is available and it is achievable. So hopefully, like through what I want to do, it will actually come together quite nicely, and I can be proud of what I've done, and be happy with it, and enjoy it, and then maybe that'll spear me on to the next kind of thing that I want to do. And hopefully somewhere out there will be the right kind of opening to work in as a technician, to be able to further what I want to do, help me on that way. We're all learning. It doesn't matter if you're 40 years old, or if you're 20 or 18 or whatever, just going into the world. We're all learning. You never stop learning. I mean, I could be like 80, and I guarantee by that time there's going to be new stuff about that I don't know about, that I'm going to have to learn about. Hopefully I'm still kind of functional at that point. But we'll see what life throws. But that's where kind of like everything is at the moment. A bit gutted I couldn't sort of get the other side done, both calipers done. Yeah, it's been a bit of a process, an eye opener. Like I learned. Yeah, I should have got 2 cans when I had the chance, and instead I got one. With everything else, and I think it's again, that's the preparation. Get what you need before you start. But then this is the beginning of this journey for me. I'm still learning, and hopefully that will be a way to go forward. Yeah, so now I'm going to shut up and kind of get back to it.